Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of The Space Between. My name is Zach Eichels, and I'll be your host for today. Today, we're joined by...
Tim Davis. I'm the certified arborist for the City of Cape Canaveral.
Nice. Tim, we appreciate you being here.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Yeah. So, first question, what do you do as the city's arborist? Like, what is that?
Well, let's start with probably the public safety part of it. I'm in charge of all the street trees and along the right-of-ways to keep the clearance for the fire department and to keep the sidewalks, the clearance for the pedestrians to walk under the trees. All the parks, we have 10 parks, and they have trees all in the parks, so make sure there's no dead wood in them, and then I have a little assistance there with leisure services since it's their parks. Of course, I care for all the parks at all the facilities we have, the City Hall, Cape Center, the Sheriff's Department, the library.
Right.
Of course, I'm in charge of all the new planting. And I do other things too. I'm not just the arborist, so I am an irrigation technician, so that involves a lot, with the watering of the trees. We don't have irrigation on all of our trees, but the ones in the parks, a lot of them do. The right-of-way ones were just, watered manually through the years, and that's how they are. And yeah, that's about it.
In your time, how many trees would you say you've planted with the city of Cape Canaveral?
I'd probably say over 1,000, maybe.
Wow.
I think the last time I lost count, I think it was like 800.
Wow.
So yeah, it's been quite a bit because they're all in our parks. Of course, they're all on every street you go down. A couple of our new parks, Manatee Park has a lot. Most of the trees on the south end of that park are all rescued trees. So as the city was expanding and the lots were empty when we planted on the right-of-ways, as they were developed, we took those trees out of the right-of-way and put them into the park so they can survive.
Wow.
And so there's a lot of different species out there, the cedars, the oaks, a bunch of palms. Most of the trees that were out there was just pepper trees at one time. So it's hard to imagine that park having no trees because it was just pretty bare.
Wow.
So
that's so cool. So what qualifies you to be an arborist? Are there specific certifications that are required you have to obtain and hold?
Yes, it's all through the International Society of Arboriculture. The exam is an international exam, so it's worldwide the same test. The only thing that will vary is probably the tree identification, because trees are different in the world. And even in the United States, they're different in our different regions, there's different trees. But other than that, the same test that somebody would take in Sweden or Japan would be the same test that you would take in the United States.
Okay.
And once you get that accreditation, then you have to have 30 credit units every 3 years, and it's continuing education credits. So since arboriculture is constantly evolving, and the technology nowadays, so you always stay on top of the latest technology. Because everything's changed.
Sure.
I've been certified since '99, so that's
It's a long time.
quite a long time as far as what was there and what's now.
Yeah.
As far as our computer technology, you got AI technology, you have drone technology now, so it's a pretty hard thing to get, and it's hard to keep up with, especially if you're working all the time. So you have to have education, and and a lot of private arborists choose not to become certified for that reason, because there's, I think, 55 to 60,000 certified arborists worldwide, and there's like 8,200 in the United States.
Wow.
So, and I believe the last number I seen for Florida was like 2,400, I think. So there's over 2,000, and just in Florida, I think Florida has the most certified arborists in the United States.
And you're one of them.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, my number is 509.
509.
So it makes me sound old.
So the city of Cape Canaveral has been designated a tree city by the Arbor Day Foundation.
Yes.
What qualifies us for that designation? How long have we had that?
Well, we've been a tree city for 35 years, which we're very proud of. They were a tree city when I got here. You have to have a board and or a department, which we have both. Our department would be the Community Development Department, and ultimately that goes under the code enforcement, the senior code enforcement, is the one who enforces the tree ordinance.
Hmm.
And you have to establish the ordinance, which we have. Then you have to have an annual budget for the tree care preservations, which they say should be $2 per capita. And I think the last thing we did last year was $18. So we've always been well above that.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last but not least, you have to acknowledge Arbor Day and have a proclamation, which we have every year. And we like to share that with the city. Sometimes, a lot of times, we do it with the school, the local elementary school that's here.
Nice.
And
Very cool. So, what are the environmental impacts that trees can have on a community? I mean, they certainly look nice, but like,
yes.
what is it? There's got to be more than that.
Well, yeah, of course. It's pretty proud to be part of Tree City because the urban canopy is very important for, of course, greenhouse effect, keeping the earth cool. They work really well. Large, mature trees, some species can uptake 30 to 50 gallons maybe in a day of storm runoff water.
Wow. If
they're in proper areas. So they can uptake a lot of water if it's given to them. And the economic values also, you don't want to come into a city and then just bare. That's what created Arbor Day. In Nebraska there was nothing, so that's where it started. Basically, they wanted to put trees up. So, and when you're walking through the city, being in Florida, would you rather walk on sidewalks under a tree or would you rather be out in the sun?
Yeah.
So you can tell the difference when you go under a tree. It's 20 degrees difference.
Right.
So I mean, and wildlife utilizes it, and it's and like you said, aesthetically wise, it's great because, like we said, a lot of our parks didn't have trees in them, so now they're all lined with trees, and we're very proud of most of our parks. They're really nice parks.
Right. When is the best time to trim a tree to keep it healthy? Does that matter?
Kind of in Florida, it doesn't really, but winter time is usually the best time when trees go dormant. Mm-hmm. And here in Florida, some trees sort of do, some deciduous trees lose leaves. So I would say for us in Florida, I would recommend, winter, probably January or February.
Okay.
That gives you 6 months or so before hurricane season comes. Gives the tree time to produce more growth and get over the trimming that you've given it.
Right. In your opinion, would you say that trees can add value to a homeowner's property?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, what would you think if you came into a neighborhood and there was 2 houses for sale? One is just an empty lot, with nothing on it. Mm-hmm. Then you see the other one that has, beautiful trees, landscaping, maybe a beautiful grass. And that particular house, even if they were the same houses, the other one would be worth money. Mm-hmm. Probably worth thousands or more, just because of the landscaping itself.
Right. I'm sure the trees can also help with like local flooding.
Yeah,
and heating on the house and whatnot.
Yes. So definitely sure for the cooling purposes. You'd love to have trees in your yard. Not everybody can.
Sure. When should a resident contact the city about their trees if they have any questions about their trees?
Oh, that's a good question. Probably the first thing you would do is reach out to City Hall. Mm-hmm. And you would want to get a hold of the code enforcement department, and then that would get the ball rolling, and then they would contact me to figure out what you want to do. Basically, there's only 3 reasons I go out. It's either for a dead tree, a hazardous tree that you're concerned about, or a particular tree that you want to remove. So I would come out there to see what kind of tree it is, whether it needs to be removed or not. Mm-hmm. What size is it? Because once it gets over 24 inches in DBH, which is the diameter at breast height, it becomes a specimen tree. Mm-hmm. And would have to come under the subject of the city council whether or not the tree would be removed. Okay. Unfortunately, the city doesn't really provide me. I don't provide consulting to the public. It's basically just for that reason. Mm-hmm. And otherwise, it's kind of like a private matter, mm-hmm. So I don't know why, but that's just the way it is.
Right. So contact Code Enforcement Division.
Yeah, if I would contact Code Enforcement, they'll go to City Hall, and then you would have to ask for an arborist request form, and then go from there.
Okay. And then last question. Many residents and condo associations often ask about sea grapes and when they should be trimmed and how they should be trimmed. Can you elaborate on any state guidelines for that species?
Yeah, that's another good subject. We do get a lot of calls for that. DEP, the Department of Environmental Protections, are the one that solely governs the dunes.
Mm-hmm.
So everything has to go through them as far as if you want to remove anything dead, any exotics, or even any invasive species, you still have to get a permit from them. Now, if you're doing just maintenance trimming, that's exempt from permitting. And there's been a little confusion in the past from residents and condo associations that when trees, mainly on the dunes, 90% of them are sea grapes. So when they get to be 10 feet or taller, you can only trim 1/3 the foliage annually until you reach to the height of 6 feet. Now for shrubs, you can do that to reach a height of 42 inches. So in the past, residents see just 1/3 annually, and they think they can go 1/3 every year, 1/3 every year, 1/3 every year until they get to 42 inches.
Mm-hmm.
But it's pretty clear in the guidelines if you read it.
Mm-hmm.
The 42 inches is only for shrubs and plants. So that being said, if any of them are caught in violation, the city pretty much just reports it to the DEP, and then the DEP sends a representative out to investigate whether they need to be fined or what goes forward from there.
Okay. Well, Tim, we really appreciate your time. That was wonderful.
Oh, thank you very much.
I think you do service for the city for all these years. With that, everybody, we'll see you next time for another episode of The Space Between.